Welcome to Gifted Underachievers, a podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. In this segment, James and I discuss whether there are rules to the creative life, and if we can fix things that go wrong because we know that it's a system, or maybe a machine. If that's not the case, what's the reality look like, and what should we do if we're not getting where we want to go? Hope you enjoy.
Hey, Pat.
Sorry, start again.
What? No, there's no starting again. The listeners need to know that you had a pencil eraser up your nose as we were starting to do content.
It was on the thing between my nose.
Oh, wait, are we going to have, was this a pick or a scratch kind of argument?
I was seeing what I would look like.
There was no penetration.
I was trying to see what I would look like without an aquiline nose. I was trying to see what I would look like with a little turned up nose, but it doesn't work. Anyway, go on. Let's go on.
So anyway, I'm down
Sorry.
here in the Gifted Underachievers philosophy wing of the library.
Yes.
And we had discussed this previously, but it's now engraved in stone near the giant globe that we have with Atlas holding it up.
Right.
It's very ornate. It's life-sized.
Yeah.
But we have this question
Mm-hmm.
that is, are we in a system, a machine, or something more complicated? And my first question for you, is this an ontological discussion?
Yes. In fact, I'm not where you are. I am up in the ontology tower.
Oh, the ontology tower. Yeah, I remember putting the capstone.
It's lucite.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and so up here, and I'm not even attached to the clubhouse, as you know, I'm the other side of the wind tower, the horizontal wind tower. I'm in the ontology tower, and I assert that this is an ontological discussion because it relates to being.
To being. All right. To being as an artist, to be or not to be an artist.
Well, to being in a system, in a machine, and in something more complicated, which I would suggest is the universe.
Right. All right. So I think we need to ground this a little bit.
What the fuck are we talking about?
And so, we're thinking about the creative life. That's
Yes.
the ontology of this ontological discussion, perhaps.
For fuck's sake.
And in this notion of, is it a system, a machine, or something more complicated?
Yeah.
Is that, if you are trying to fix something, right? If your creative life isn't going well, or some aspect of it isn't going right. For example, if it's a system, there's an entire process, set of tools, how-tos to fix that.
Yeah.
If it's a machine, same thing. There's an entire, process, set of tools, guidance for how to fix that.
Yeah. Schematics,
and it's physical, right?
we have it mapped out.
You're right. It's mapped out. It's physical. Yet we seem to be in something that's a bit more complicated, perhaps.
I would agree there. I think that the larger part of our creative lives, or our lives period, are maybe a set of interlocking systems, but they're within a much more unknown quantity. As humans, we have an imperfect understanding even of the stuff that's right in front of us. We have no clue about the larger workings of the universe. It's not set up for our pleasure and convenience. Obviously, we are just one of many creatures in it, and we don't know anything about it except what the scientists have figured out. And they regularly discover that they had it wrong, and it's actually this. So, I mean, obviously, there's a large body of great science that has told us a lot more than we could possibly have known 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. But the idea is that there are aspects of whatever we're in, that complicated thing that we will probably go to our graves not knowing anything about, not having experienced firsthand in any way that we can quantify or even describe. Obviously, we're part of it, but we don't always, in fact, I would say we rarely know how it's operating. Because if we did know how it was operating, there wouldn't be so much inequity in the world, if you know what
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does. It the universe. So if we were to take the metaphor, the creative world writ
Mhm.
large, no matter what you do within it, is the universe,
Yeah.
right? And so is it a system or a machine that you can figure it out and you can fix?
Yeah.
But then the next, I think, based on what you're saying, is that because the universe just is, it exists. It doesn't exist for us, it exists with us within it.
Yeah.
Then, the inference there is that there's no single entity that's in charge of it,
Mm. Interesting.
right?
Yes, I would agree with that.
So if nobody's in charge and everybody is, I mean, you can almost say everybody's sort of like an amoeba within this, large. I almost want to use the word system, but it's not. It's almost like a random generator,
Well, and even saying an amoeba and even saying a random generator is trying to attach certainty or knowing to something
right?
that is defined as uncertain and that cannot be known by our
Mhm.
imperfect human understanding. Even with all the 8 billion people on the planet got together and tried to figure it out, we wouldn't be able to because we are not capable of that level of thought. So, or even of understanding, we just don't know. And we have to be able to accept that we don't know. And so, I think we're definitely in something more complicated, and I think that maybe the striving that I sometimes, especially before, like earlier, 20 years ago in my so-called career as a creative, the striving, the wishing, the hoping, the trying to grind out projects and going, what's wrong? Why am I not, why can't I do this? Well, like I wrote 5 novels trying to figure out how to write a damn novel, some of them multiple drafts, and it was the best puzzle I ever encountered. That's why I kept doing it. I made money doing other stuff in the conference industry, but I always came back to, is it this hard because it's just hard, or is it this hard because I'm pushing where I shouldn't be pushing and I'm not pushing where I should be pushing? And I think so that's the kind of system thinking where you're going, is there something I can tweak? Is there a hack? Is there something I can change to make this an easier path so that I'm more successful? I produce more work. I get more gratification out of the work I produce. I don't find it as flawed. Or if there's no series of steps or hacks, or there's no blueprint or things you can fix or a system you can take apart. I think the part that I'm missing in my own creative life is that I have systems for sure, definitely work systems, but
Mhm.
also systems for my personal creativity. And I believe that they are tweaking my systems is ineffectual mostly,
Mhm.
or needs to be redone every few months or years because I am not understanding that because I am seeing myself I'm the only operator. I'm the only person taking action in my creative spirit, like for myself. And I
Mhm.
believe that there are other things going on. And I'm not saying that, it's up to the universe whether I write a good novel, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that sometimes pushing too hard or trying to tweak stuff is stopping you from seeing an easier way to do things. Does that make
Yeah,
any sense?
yeah, we're constantly trying to figure something out as if it has rules,
Yeah,
right? And if you follow the rules, then you can create a pathway. Like you follow these rules and you'll end up here. You follow
yeah,
those rules, you'll end up there, kind of thing,
yeah,
right? And you know, that then presumes that if we're not ending up where we want to end up, that means we're doing something wrong,
yeah, yeah.
right? And so that's where we can get into the systems and looking at the schematics and analyzing and analyzing and analyzing and analyzing until we get to the point where we're trying all these things and nothing seems to be working.
Hmm.
And yet we still assume that it must because we're just not doing something right. Or maybe we reach a point where we say it's because there's a malign force,
Right.
right?
That's possible.
There's some other, somebody's in charge. And I don't know who they are. I don't know how to define them. I don't know how to describe them, but the somebodies who are in charge are, keeping me from achieving whatever it is I want to achieve.
Yeah.
And so it's a striving and a struggle for agency.
Oh, yeah. And it's a victim mindset that you can get
Hmm.
uh, from not understanding that you just don't understand everything and you're never going to. And so, you can liken it to that term pushing the river, which means like you're pushing against the way the river is moving.
Hmm.
And you don't know you're doing it because you haven't turned around and gone, wait, if I just stopped, I would be carried downstream where I want to go. I'm trying to move along the river, but I'm pushing upriver. I'm pushing upstream. So I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm
But
thinking.
this isn't also a discussion of nihilism, right?
Yeah.
Where the river just will take you wherever the river wants to take you, and
Yeah.
you just have to learn to let go
Yeah.
because we do have agency, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we have in our careers, whether it's the creative adjacent work or the actual creative work, we have made adjustments. We have
Hmm.
um, sought out new information, learning skills. We've
Tons.
talked about killing the magic,
Yeah.
right? Where something goes from mysterious to we now understand how it works and it's a
Yeah.
skill we've acquired. So there's a lot of agency in there. And I
Yeah.
think maybe where we're getting to is that there's a presumption that when we get those things right and we experience positive outcomes, that there then should be this larger getting to, bigger, broader goals.
Yeah.
And, the fact is you may never get there.
Yeah. So we're thinking even the position of our podcast subtitle, mid-level creatives. Um, we originally conceived of a ladder, and we're halfway up the ladder, and I believe that that's one way to look at it, but it misses the ontology.
Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Well, it's why we had you design and build the ontology tower
Out of lucite.
out of lucite. And as with the building of the tower, it was the striving that gave it meaning, right?
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. That's new. Is that a new idea?
I'm throwing it out there that
You know
it's the
what?
striving that gives what we do meaning.
In a way, because in the strive, I really dislike the word striving, but in the trying, you get to know yourself.
Yeah. Well, you get to know, way more than yourself.
Yeah.
You can look at it very, very broadly,
Hmm.
that you get insight into the workings of the universe, which is a cold and distant, place. But you can create something within it that is not cold and distant and heartless and,
Yeah,
that kind. And
you're
when I
right.
say striving, I'm meaning it like a Buddhist, I think, would mean it, where you plant the flower for the
Oh, I
planting
see.
flower
Yes.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
not striving as in,
Not struggling.
the more negative
Yeah.
connotation.
Well, and
Um,
I just want to for our listeners, detach myself from your characterization of the universe as a cold and distant place, because I don't feel that way about it.
no.
I feel that it is a neutral place.
Oh,
And
okay.
like it's not, there's no coldness, there's no distance. I mean, it's big, obviously, but and space is cold, so I get where you're coming from. But I think you added another word. It was meaningless, maybe, or anyway, there was a third term. The thing I think about whether if we're in a system in a machine inside the universe and it's characterized by not knowing that we don't know what we don't know. Um, Wait a minute now. I'm up in the tower here, just pacing around with my kilt on, going, "What the fuck am I talking about?" Okay, but the premise that the universe is beyond our ken, really,
Mhm.
does not to me characterize the universe in any particular way. I would say it's neutral to positive in my mind. I think if we can like stop trying to control things, better outcomes will come than the ones we could have created with our limited knowledge. However, that doesn't mean we don't have agency. It means we do all that Henrik Carlson stuff.
Ah,
Context.
yeah,
Gather context, do our best, work at what we want to work at, make the utmost effort we feel like making, and then also know that we don't know everything and we're going to just have to fucking wing it.
yeah. Well, okay. Yes. And I would say I'm going to push back a little bit on this neutrality because neutrality is indifference, right? The universe does not exist to serve.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, but I
Does
said
not,
neutral. You
and
didn't.
so no, I know you did. I'm
Yeah.
pushing back and I'm saying that you can interpret that, you can experience that as being cold and distant
Okay.
because
Yeah, fair enough.
if you sort of feel like something exists, then it exists for a reason and it has an objective, right? So, when I think about a lot of stuff, I was talking to somebody recently about why we have constitutions. And I said, well, what is the problem that a constitution solves? It's not to give you what you want.
Uh-huh.
It's a way for, millions, many hundred, 340 million people in the US who can disagree on everything to come together, supposedly, and govern themselves, right? And so then the question then is, what is the problem that the universe solves?
Well,
And
no, that's not the
yeah,
question. That's not the
right. That's
question.
yeah. And that's the point is that it doesn't solve a problem. It's neutral. It can be perceived as cold and distant because you feel like it needs to be, exist for some reason to solve, some sort of problem. And it gets to this way of thinking that I think a lot of people fall into. And perhaps why, and I'm going way out on a limb, but what was that movie that Keanu Reeves did that was really popular about
The
where
Matrix.
the Matrix series of movies, hugely popular, tons of money, based on a concept that anybody stoned in a dorm room could have come up with, which is that we're all inside of like a machine,
Yeah.
and we're just existing within that machine,
Yeah.
and which means that there's people controlling it and da 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 da. Whereas, it's more about shit just happens, and so the energy that you put into it has effect. It has impact.
Yes. Okay, so I agree. I don't I don't it doesn't matter to me how somebody perceives or defines the universe because every individual person's is going to be different. Everybody's conception is going to be different. However, what I'm saying is humans are not they're not any better than any other life form. And so they're not any more interesting to the universe. They don't matter more. They are just another thing out there. And I'm happy with that. That gives us freedom. It
Mhm.
means that we don't have extra responsibility than a rock does. We can do whatever the hell we want. And so, in that context, what I'm taking out of this is my personal manifesto for the next, I'm going to say 9 to 10 months is going to be ease up.
Are you gonna have that presented on a 1970s style, like, you know, t-shirt with a gigantic bumper sticker? Or, is that gonna go on the back of your van?
I kind of like that. You know what? In that
Ease up.
70s font, ease up.
Ease up,
Boom.
man.
Should I do an exclamation mark or just have it?
No, I think it needs to be completely copacetic.
Yeah, yeah, no punctuation. That would
No
be
punctuation.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be trying to enforce a will upon something that has no less. All right. So, how do we sum our ontological discussion of system, machine, or something more complicated?
I don't know that we can. Take a shot. I mean, I have a
I'm gonna take a
takeaway.
shot. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
there's an argument for nihilism, but there's also an argument for agency too.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that in this universe, as a metaphor of a creative life, that there's a constant tension and battle between nihilism and agency.
What?
And when nihilism, agency cannot exist in the presence of nihilism. Nihilism cannot exist in the presence of agency, and yet both are in constant states of existence and pushing against each other.
Within a much larger unknown.
Right, right. That is not here to serve or deny us. It merely
Wow.
is merely here.
Holy shit, man. The
Yeah. Oh.
philosophy, the ontology tower is vibrating and the
Right.
philosophy wing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, those electives in college.
I, I'm in a very good place with this discussion. I feel like great. I mean,
Yeah, ease up.
I gotta go to the Dollarama for some Pringles now.
Yeah, get the pizza flavor. Fuck it.
I'm not a fucking animal. Oh gosh.
All right. All right. Well, when you come down from the ontological tower, I'll have some Pringles ready for you.
Thanks. Actually, I don't really like them. They're a bit powdery for me. I just like potato chips.
Yeah, they do weird things with my poo.
Oh, too much information. Oh my God. Blech. Thanks so much for listening to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Hope you have a great creative week.